with Becky Lynch addressing the backstage confrontation with Charlotte Flair and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for November 11th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. With Xavier Woods and his team on Up Up Down Down on strike for being paid next to nothing for his work on his YouTube channel, it seems the company has issues with paying its talent. Dave Meltzer touched on this, saying with WWE's revenue there should be several millionaires, yet there are only a couple. These guys, your average guy on the roster, realistically your average guy on the roster should be making in the range of $5 million. And there are guys who make $5 million there, but you can count them on one hand. You know, your Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. Maybe you can count them on two fingers. I don't think there's anyone else making $5 million. There's a couple people who are making over $3 million. The point is that they are getting underpaid. Vince McMahon thinks they're overpaid. TV deals with the USA Network and Fox, along with streaming service deals with NBCU, make up the bulk of WWE's money. They also were an even more profit during the pandemic, as they cut many from their roster and had little to no live events during that time, which don't generate much revenue. With Hangman Page set to get another shot at the AEW World title against Kenny Omega at Full Gear, it was noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that Page getting this win has been in the works since the company started. Omega and Page is a match that has been promised in its own way since almost the beginning of the company, as far as Page winning the championship from the beginning of the company. The first press conference in January 2019 in Jacksonville, Page said he was going to win the title, and we all knew the big thing they were going to build to do in a couple of years was the coronation of Page as champion. That was always the plan. This is the culmination of that whole Adam Page breaking up from the Young Bucks and Omega and sorta going heel, and then him and Omega winning the tag team titles, and then you knew they were going to do the breakup and eventually they were going to do the big match, and they did the big match that Omega won. That match was supposed to be at All Out in September, but they moved it back because Page's wife was pregnant, so they moved it to this show, and here we are. Speaking to Ariel Helwani, Bryan Danielson mentioned his reasons for joining AEW, claiming it was more of a challenge compared to WWE. There was something exciting about it and a little scary. You get too comfortable at something for too long, and there was just something exciting about it. There was also this idea in my mind where I tried not to, and for the most part I didn't, but in my WWE matches I could go out there and kind of sleepwalk through them if I wanted to. I tried not to. In AEW you can't, because they do so much. I was watching one of their shows and I was like, I don't even know if I can wrestle here. These guys are doing so much. I think this might be dangerous for me. I had mentioned it to Jon Moxley, and I said that to him, and he said, dude, you're Bryan Danielson, you can do any of this. You don't have to do what these guys are doing. You can create your own thing. While he said he wants to wrestle fewer matches, Bryan has noted that this is because he has a hard time taking it easy when performing. As he's set to face Miro in the finals of the World Title Eliminator Tournament, we'll have to see how it goes at Full Gear. Along with Liv Morgan, Ruby Soho, and Sarah Logan spent a lot of time together in WWE as a part of the Riot Squad. While Morgan is still in WWE, Logan was released during the pandemic in April of last year. With Ruby now part of AEW, she talked about reuniting with Logan with Women's Wrestling Talk. I mean, we've always talked about hypotheticals, you know. Sarah and I have shared every major moment in our careers together. I've known her for over 10 years now. I have the best job I could possibly ask for, his godmother to her son. And she is my best friend, and she has been there for me through everything. She came to All Out to surprise me. I was already an emotional mess that day as it was, but when I saw her and Cash there, I just bawled like a baby. So she is one of those people that I think is incredibly talented and the most driven woman I have ever met. When she gets something in her head, she's going to do it. And so I think whenever the time is right for her to re-emerge back into the wrestling industry, and wherever she decides to go, I will 100% have her back. And obviously we've talked about the hypotheticals, but as much as selfishly, I would always love for her to be my tag partner forever. Wherever is honestly best for her and for her family is the place that I want her to go. So I think that kind of just leaves it up to how everything fits with her family, which is her number one priority for sure. For now, Soho is focused on winning the TBS Championship tournament as she'll face Chris Statlander in the quarterfinals. Talking to the 5-Count, AEW star Malachi Black said that when he wrestled Dante Martin last month, that he handpicked his opponent. Now it seems he wants another opponent for the future, Powerhouse Hobbs. I would love to be against Hobbs because I think he's a guy that has a lot of potential, very much a diamond in the rough individual. He has all the skills, he just needs to come into his own. It's like with what I did with Dante Martin. I requested to work with Dante because I felt I could bring something out of him, could show the world something about Dante, and Dante could learn something about himself and about the structure of matches that he didn't know prior before that. Doing that for a guy that I wouldn't say in the twilight, but I'm 36, if I have another good 10 years left, that's great, but while I'm still being built, it's important for me to build others. By me building others and building stars in the company grows more. There is going to be a business after me, and I need to help the business after me. During the half-hour overlap between SmackDown and Rampage, AEW was able to edge out WWE in the 18 to 49 demographic rating. Speaking about this on the Dan Le Batard show, AEW president Tony Khan claimed CM Punk beat SmackDown. Punk won his segment decisively, and then the second segment, which was Ruby Soho versus The Bunny, two female wrestlers who fans had been just really mean to and said, your segment's not going to do well. Soho's a big star, who had been fired from WWE just months earlier, and they went up against a contract signing of Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. If you look at it, they tied it, but in their 15-minute quarter, that's where I pushed all 6 minutes of the commercials, so actually without the commercials, they would have beaten that segment. And then the previous 15-minute quarter was CM Punk and Matt Sydal head-to-head with Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, and that is a big match. And our match was a big match too, and it decisively beat their match. Speaking of Punk, he will be facing Eddie Kingston on Saturday for Full Gear. With Chris Van Vliet, Darby Allin discussed his match against CM Punk and how he came to know he would be facing the straight edge star. I was talking to Tony on the phone. That was it pretty much. You don't believe something until it happens. And then once I cut that promo about the best in the world that aired in North Carolina, I knew that it was a done deal and it was go time. That was the high pressure moment ever, because I knew everyone was going to be watching him because it's such a big thing. 7 years, holy hell, that's a long time. For him to leave wrestling the way he did and to come back, people were not sure if he was ever going to come back. So when he did and I was his first opponent, I was nervous. I was in a zone, and I've been in a few zones in life, but I was in a zone that day where I was like, it's not going to get more nerve-wracking than this. It's cool to get moments like that, because it does make you mentally stronger, but it started hitting me hard because I remember when he left wrestling in 2014. It was the same year that I started wrestling. At the time, he was my favorite wrestler. Besides the whole straight edge, it was the punk rock, and I don't give a damn what you think about me attitude. It was cool as a kid watching him, but then it hit me. When he left, I was a dishwasher, and dude, life is a trip. So I got a little teary-eyed before that match. Allin has been in a feud against MJF as the two are set to face off at Full Gear. Given his legendary status from promotions like ECW to WWE, it's no surprise that Reelz is airing a documentary on Rob Van Dam. While The Observer would say this was supposed to be about RVD's stand-up comedy, it turned into a story about head trauma. Meltzer would note that those in Impact Wrestling said RVD was having trouble recalling spots in his matches. They were going to do a documentary about Rob Van Dam starting his career as a stand-up comedy guy. While doing the documentary, they basically found out that Van Dam's memory is shot. I had heard when he was working in Impact, that's what I had heard. It's like the guy can't remember his spots. It became a documentary about Van Dam getting into stand-up comedy to a documentary about Van Dam and his loss of memory from all the concussions from his wrestling career. WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan has been having health issues recently as he's suffering from prostate cancer. He's returned to social media to give fans an update. Here's the clip.
Hi everybody, I'd just like to give everybody a quick update after my back-to-back surgeries. Obviously I'm home, doing well, feel much better, and I also want to say thank you to everyone for the thoughts, the prayers, the good wishes. You know, folks, it's humbling to have so many people all over the world care, and I tell you, it means a lot from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you so much to so many folks for checking in on me. And also, I'd like to say I'm sorry, and I hope you all understand that I'm going to have to cancel the rest of the shows for this year, but we're looking forward to traveling the world next year, God willing, and so hopefully we'll see you down the road. Again, thank you very much for all the good wishes and prayers. God bless, and hopefully see you soon.
On the 22nd of last month for SmackDown, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair were in the ring to swap titles given the champions had been drafted to opposing brands. While the plan for this segment was to have Becky take Charlotte Flair's title, Charlotte ended up dropping it, which was not part of the plan. Becky then would retaliate by throwing her belt at Charlotte. This would lead to a shouting match between the two backstage where Lynch would call out Flair for being unprofessional, as many saw Becky as a hero for standing up to Charlotte. Apparently Vince McMahon was unhappy with Flair over this, and Charlotte's inner circle of friends has reportedly told her to consider leaving the company, despite Flair having years left on her current contract. Speaking to Sports Illustrated, Lynch was asked about this incident with Flair as Becky replied, "I don't know, man, we don't talk anymore. We don't talk." So all I'll say is the locker room needs a hero sometimes, and sometimes somebody's gotta be a hero. I'm alright being that hero. That's what I'll say on that matter. The two are set to face off at Survivor Series, and given the real life tension, it'll be interesting to see how that match plays out. In that same interview, when asked if she trusted Charlotte, Becky replied with a no. When asked if things are difficult with Flair, Becky simply said yes. And when asked if they were friends or not, Becky noted that they used to be best friends. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.